Hi everyone and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show, and we are the UK's only programme that's dedicated to your mental health and well-being. So today we have a very special show for you as we have an interview with Brazilian actor Petronio Gontijo. If you've been watching the 10 Commandments on this channel, he plays Aaron, but he also plays the role of the person whose idea it was to start this very show, the Chrissy B Show, Bishop Edir Macedo. Let me explain more. So 7 years ago, I was actually having a conversation with Bishop Macedo, and I was telling him about my story, how I actually came to one of the churches and was helped with depression and panic attacks and things like that. And we got into, actually went there to speak to him about something else, but anyway, we got talking about my life and my story and how things had changed for me. And even back then, he knew the importance of mental health, because that's when he came up with the idea of saying to me, why don't we start a program that's dedicated to mental health, and you can talk about your experiences, you can bring on professionals, you can talk about your depression that you had and how you overcame it. So it was actually his idea, and that's how the Chrissy B Show was born. And this show, for the last, actually it's been over 7 years, has been sponsored to be on air to help you, our viewers, to help you with lots of tips and advice and everything like that. And the interesting thing though is often on this program we speak about facing issues and overcoming them, if you've been through any hardships, things like that. And Bishop Macedo is actually the most inspirational person that I know, because he has been through so much. He's achieved a lot, but it was not an easy path, because he's been lied about, he's been put in prison, falsely accused of things. He obviously had to be released from prison because nothing was founded against him. But unfortunately, this fake news is still going on today. And for a person that's always been trying to help people, he has to put up with these kind of things. But what keeps driving him is his desire to help people, is his desire to reach as many people as he can. And actually now this organization, this church that sponsors the program, is all over the world, and there's around a 10 million strong membership and lots of social work everywhere. So you see, unfortunately, sometimes when we try to achieve things, when we try to reach the top with our goals, even if it's to do with helping people, unfortunately, it does rattle some cages. There are people that will not like it. There are people that will feel threatened by it and start to kind of maybe spread these kind of things, fake news. So we have to be really careful. And actually, fake news is something that our psychologist Dr Audrey Tang will be speaking about later, and why we should, take things with a pinch of salt. So back to Bishop Macedo, 2 films have actually been made about his life, which is Nothing to Lose, and that's available for you to watch on Netflix. And also there's now Nothing to Lose 2, which was out in cinemas recently and probably will be on Netflix in the future. But let's watch the trailers just to give you an idea of what his life was like.
An aunt of mine fell for that con man. She gives money to the church even when she earns almost nothing.
It's all lies and fake healings. Just an act. Do you understand the danger this man represents? We can't allow this man to act with impunity.
I hear that Silvio Santos and Machado de Carvalho are thinking of selling Record.
Minister, what's your take on the purchase of a TV station by Bishop Edir Macedo?
If I were you, I'd cancel this contract.
With all the confusion and your church being under investigation, it might seem like a provocation.
You're messing with very powerful people, Edir.
I'm scared. Please try to find something out for me, okay?
Now is the time to attack. want to know how this man has so much power over people. But he only reaches the lower classes, right? People with no money, people who don't have ambition.
They're already in first world countries now, in the United States and Europe. Wherever Edir goes, his gang only gets bigger.
When you were sent to prison, Bishop, many people thought that all was lost.
We'll always be an easy target of hate for certain people.
We need to be ready for anything, right?
Edir Macedo has no idea what's coming. We still have more than enough ammunition against him.
This thing here doesn't work. This thing isn't the saint at all.
Did you even watch last night's program?
No, why?
A bishop of the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God incited controversy and indignation across the country.
What's he thinking? That he can disrespect a Catholic symbol and get away with it?
Thanks to him kicking that saint, everyone hates us now.
I told you many times we'd never have everyone on our side.
I don't think I've ever seen a man slam so hard. This guy's getting what he deserves.
I'm making sure that this time he's not just spending 11 days behind bars.
What is this?
This is your date with the justice system. And why are these men carrying guns?
Because that is how we treat gangs.
God is with me too. Do you think that God is only with you?
So are these the tapes?
Isn't that what you wanted? A reason? This is all you need to put an end to Edir Macedo in the Universal Church.
I am being massacred. It's a new lawsuit every day.
There's been a tragedy. A roof collapsed. It was the roof of our church in Osasco. The church was packed.
He's hit rock bottom. It's all over. Nobody can get back up after such a tragedy.
We have endured all of it. All of the injustice, rumors, and persecution. And in no way, ever, have we tried to get back at anyone. I made it here because of my faith. And my faith will continue to guide me. When you make a mistake, there's only one thing you can do.
So I'm really looking forward to speaking to Petronio Gontijo, who plays Bishop Macedo in both films, about what it was like to play the role of a man who's been so hated and so persecuted, but has also achieved so much. We'll be meeting him after this break.
People to think they have to learn to live with depression. I know there's a permanent cure, and I know sometimes many people hear that, you can manage depression or learn to live with it, and that's something that I totally disagree with, because depression is such a horrible thing to experience and to live with on a day-to-day basis, because I've been there and I know. But I also know that there is a solution, a permanent solution.
Depression has always been something, people say it's incurable. Once you get depressed, you'll never be free of it. But it's not true. You don't have to manage it. You can get rid of it, and that's why it's payback time.
Obviously, I'm taking a couple of these books today, 2 signed copies, in order to give it to some relatives of mine.
I know that this book will progress. Yeah, it's about time. It's about time. It steals too much time for people's lives. Yeah, it's about time.
I did put the dance together because the dance actually shows the fight against depression. So as you know, you've got some punching moves in there, you've got that throwing out anything that's negative. So when you're actually doing the dance, just remember that the reason behind it is like you saying, I don't accept to be put down by any kind of problem, and I'm going to fight back.
We think it's a really, really important thing for them to be aware of being mentally and emotionally well, as well as succeeding with their academic success. So when we heard about this dance, we just thought it was amazing.
We like to encourage students to open up if they are going through any problem and let them know that it's okay to talk, that it's okay if you're going through a problem, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Waving the flags, I think it's like saying to your worries, go away and don't come back.
I found the dance, I thought everybody enjoyed it because it could represent our big and small feelings.
Stop, stop, stop! Stop, 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 step back and point and wave! Step and crush! Step and crush! Step and crush!
Do you think this challenge is so important?
I think it's very important because it's a very interactive way for young people to take part and know the stigma around mental health and actually make a change.
It was really energetic and everyone took part in it and really got in there.
I think it's more important because of the actual mental health, not like going on the telly, like the mental health part, because it's quite important. Like if you just ignore it, then a lot of bad things could happen.
I think it's really important in our school we do take it seriously. Our children are really young, but obviously we want to talk to them about feelings and to recognise the different feelings that they have.
Oxygen, are you ready? Yeah! Are you sure? Yeah! Let's go! And turn! 2, 1, 2, 3, get up!
Great pleasure to present you with our official Chrissy B Show participative certificate.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
So everyone, it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you Petronio Gontijo, who played Bishop Edir Macedo in both films, Nothing to Lose 1 and 2. Welcome to the show, Petronio.
Thank you very much, Chrissy. I'm happy to be here.
And welcome to London.
Thank you. I love this city.
So it's lovely to have you here, Petronio. But first I want to find out about you. So was acting something that you always wanted to do since you were a child?
I started my career doing theatre plays at 2 years old. I was just a little more than a baby, really. At my sister's school then, they were looking for a little boy to play Jesus Christ, and so they took me to play this role. Since then, I continued in amateur theatre in Minas Gerais, Brazil, until I was 17 years old. After that, I studied and graduated as an actor at university. I have been an actor all my life. After studying at university, I had the opportunity to do an audition for TV. At this audition, I was selected for a soap opera together with a well-known actress in Brazil called Patricia Pilla. It was from there that I started my career. I have done about 20 soap operas, 25 stage plays, and a few films. I was part of a film project called The Posthumous Memories of Brás Cubas before the year 2000. Now I am back to cinema, which has been my dream with the Nothing to Lose films.
So it sounds like it was always a dream for you. What have some of the challenges been?
Many challenges. The first one was to believe that it was possible to make a career as an actor in Brazil. I wanted that very much. However, my parents were really worried about me following a career that is very unstable in Brazil. But I think that this is the same everywhere in the world. In the end, they supported me because of my strong desire, and that was the way I wanted to follow. As a young actor, I would commit myself to rehearsals instead of hanging out at the club with the other teenagers on the weekends. I believe that this was most certainly my biggest challenge. Another challenge I faced were the difficulties of the profession, as I had many ups and downs while starting up. Sometimes I had money to buy food, sometimes I did not have any. I had to learn how to creatively survive with little money. This was in addition to holding on to my belief that my career would indeed take off. This trying period of instability lasted for about approximately 10 years. To my greatest joy, when I finished university, something very pleasant happened, and that was going on straight to work on TV. Due to the great visibility that being on TV gives you, I was able to have sponsorship for the stage plays that I wanted to do. I then moved to Sao Paulo in order to work with great actors there. For me, this was a serious achievement. Those actors took my career to another level. I learned a lot about my profession from them, and with the recognition I gained working with them, I was able to continue and develop the skills of my craft.
Amazing. So I've been watching Moses and the Ten Commandments, and you play Aaron in the film. Now, what I noticed is that you are really good at crying in Moses and in Nothing to Lose, which we'll be speaking about later. How do you get into that moment where you cry so naturally? How do you do that?
It isn't easy for me to cry during acting. That is always a challenge for me. Some actors use a material referred to as Japanese crystal that you put in your eyes, and then you are able to produce tears. However, with me, the opposite happens. My eyes end up going dry. This does not work for me. So what I had to do to learn how to cry during acting is to look inside myself and absolute concentration. This is not the Stanislavski method, where you remember something sad and brings to your moment of acting. This only works for the first time, and sometimes on TV. We have to cry a lot of times during the same scene. So when I do this, this has to be with absolute concentration, an internal silence that is difficult to achieve sometimes. The TV studio can be noisy, with so many people talking before the shooting, people that need to talk between themselves, adjusting things on the set and all that diverts your concentration. For that reason, when I am working in a TV studio, I try to be very serious and concentrate, so that I can put the kind of authenticity to the crime scenes. The other thing that helps me a lot is the other actor that is in the scene with me. I need my partner in the scene. I need their concentration too. In general, I have been lucky because I've always worked with nice people. They have had the same commitment to work, and they also try their best to cry naturally. I don't have anything against finding artificial forms for crying, but that just does not work for me.
All right, very good to know. So we do want to find out about Nothing to Lose 1 and 2. So everybody do stay tuned, because after the break, you're going to be finding out more about Petronio's role playing Bishop Edir Macedo. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, host of the UK's only TV programme dedicated to mental health and well-being, The Chrissy B Show, which airs on mytv Sky 191 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Follow our social media on YouTube, Instagram and Twitter at Chrissy B Show, and our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. For more information, visit chrissybshow.tv.
So the reason that we did the dance, through the dance, I wanted to actually show the fight against depression.
The dance is so symbolic.
Waving the flags, I think it's like saying to your worries, go away and don't come back.
I did like the dance and everything.
For example, this move, does anyone know what this one means when you do
The depression out and all the sadness out and like all the scariness out.
I see you back in the studio!
Welcome back everyone to today's Chrissy B Show, and we have a very special interview today with actor Petronio Gontijo, who plays Aaron. If you've been watching Moses and the Ten Commandments, so you would have seen him on screen doing a brilliant job, and he's also playing Bishop Edir Macedo in Nothing to Lose 1 and 2. So it's been lovely finding out about your career, but now tell us regarding Bishop Adiemus Macedo. Had you heard about him before you were invited to do the film?
I barely knew him. I had heard about him through some friends at Record TV because I was already working for Record at the time, and these people were in contact with him, so I learned about him through them as they told me about his simplicity and about him as a person. However, I knew very little about the bishop.
Okay. And how did you get the role of Bishop Edir Macedo?
I was invited.
Eu tinha feito a novela Os 10 Mandamentos.
I had worked in the Ten Commandments, soap opera at Record TV. As a result of my portrayal of that character, they talked amongst themselves and decided that I was right for the role.
E eu fui convidado pela Record Filmes.
So I was invited for a meeting by the production companies, Record Films and Paris Films. I accepted the invitation immediately, but afterwards I was worried about whether I would be up to the task. I was really worried. Basically, in Brazil, there isn't a formula to play someone that is so widely known by the public. In addition, I was physically different. I had just finished playing a character who was a slave that carried stones, so I did lots of physical exercise. So I felt that I was physically distant from the character of Bishop Edir Macedo. I also doubted if I was up to this responsibility to portray him. However, it was the bishop himself who calmed me down and told me that he had personally chosen me to play him in the film. During a conversation, he told me, "Be calm. You are going to portray me well." That certainly calmed me down. From that point on, I started to focus on my work.
Amazing. So what was the most touching part for you in playing his character?
Posso dizer que foram 2 momentos.
I could say that there were 2 moments. One of them during Nothing to Lose 1, and the other one in the second film. In the first one, there is a scene with Dai Mesquita, who plays Esther, where Bishop decided that he will stop paying attention to the bullies, that he will not concern himself with the external harassments, and that he will, from that moment on, build his story in the way that he thinks it should be built. That scene was at the birth of his daughter Viviane. It was a very delicate moment, and it took us 2 days to complete the scene. I relied very much on Dai to do it, so we worked together in a very special way. That was important for me as an actor. And also because I could immerse myself in that moment as I imagined what he experienced in real life. The other touching moment for me was during the second film. I don't want to give away any spoilers for those who are going to watch the film, but there is a scene where the ceiling of a church falls down. In that moment, I had to imagine everything that happened there and see it through my eyes. On that day, I asked for about 2 hours to try and concentrate on the scene. When I arrived on set, we went straight to film it, to be able to imagine and translate the emotion of what had happened there was really powerful for me. There is another one that I want to tell you. Can I tell you about 3 moments?
Okay.
It's being in contact with the Soweto people from South Africa. This is in the film too, in the second one, but I won't say much about that. However, I will say that getting to know these people has changed a lot of things inside of me. It has changed many things in my life because these people are very happy and have a strong faith, even though they have gone through many difficulties in their lives. Apartheid ended not so long, for example. It ended as a law, but socially it still exists there. These people still suffer the effects of apartheid. But for us, even though we have daily struggles, we cannot imagine how they could overcome the problems they faced and how they managed to have such a strength. When you consider them this way, something big changes inside you.
It's like they're not bitter because of the past that they went through, but they're full of faith, like you said. They want to move forward. So it must have been a very touching moment for you.
Exactly. This is a fight that excites me. I never didn't expect that I would be so moved, nor that I would see what I saw. From then onwards, something's really changed inside of me. I just wanted to hug those people, dance and sing along with them.
Nice. Now, I've seen both films, and I can see the way you are speaking now. You prepared so well for each role. That's why those moments in the film were so powerful. And I really think you captured the character of Bishop Macedo, the emotions that he went through, the fights that he went through. And this is such a touching film, and I encourage everybody, if you haven't watched the first one on Netflix, please do, because it will change something inside of you. Now, something that I wanted to ask as well, obviously the relationship with Bishop Macedo and his wife Esther is a very unique one. Can you tell us what you thought of the relationship between them?
Sim. Eu tive uma grande parceira.
Yes. I had a great partner called Di Mesquita, the actress who played Esther. I used to joke with Esther, with Di, because she has very few lines throughout the film, while my character Edir spoke almost throughout the whole film. However, the presence of Di's character in the scenes were fundamental to the construction of my character. Without her, I would not have done it the way that I did. This is not to say whether this was good or bad, but simply the way it was. Without her, I would not have reached crucial emotional moments in the film, because to me, she is one of the greatest actresses to her generation in Brazil, as well as a great partner to work with. A good partner is often hard to find, and she is such a skilled person, both in as well as out of the scenes. We became inseparable throughout filming. She is a friend that I admire very much and I hope to have for a lifetime. Esther's figure in the film is just that. It's an absolute strength. Without having to verbalize much, her presence speaks, and Dai managed to capture that.
Wonderful. What lessons did you take from Bishop Edir Macedo's life for yourself?
Firstly, his simplicity. Because I am not a simple person. So his simplicity is something that made me think a lot. Made me reflect about whenever we are unsure about things. As he is a yes or no kind of person, his objectivity also made an impression on me. These are the two things that hit me straight away. In addition, his faith in the moments that seemed impossible to overcome, Nothing to Lose too, is a very strong film. It is a frighteningly strong film. When I saw the film on screen, the complete result of it all, I was very impressed because it was adversity after adversity. I believe that this is a film that shows this, highlights the difficulties of life. His attitude of faith in the face of every difficulty he has been through inspires us. It really makes us think. And I say us because on tour, I'm taking a world tour. It's something that all the people have told me, whether it is in Africa, Los Angeles, or Chile. People tell me we've all had difficulties, and they have been very hard, often seemingly impossible to overcome. So there is no one who does not identify with that. His faith in those moments is something that really touched me, and that is touching people around the world.
Now, unfortunately, even today, there is a lot of fake news about Bishop Macedo and things like that. Did you get any criticism for playing his role?
I had. No one had the courage to say this to my face or talk to me personally about it. But I got it through social network. When I didn't know the person, there is no problem for me. I decided not so long ago, I made a decision to live without fear. However, the reactions of people who were dear to me were a surprise. So I had to get away from certain people, and this was fine for me. It hurts a lot then, and it still hurts a little now. However, it wasn't that many people. They were some close and dear people, but they were not so many, only a few. What I received in return, what I received in the form of the love and affection of all the people, including the close friends who supported me, was much greater than that kind of criticism.
And why should people go and watch Nothing to Lose 1 and 2?
It's because it's a film that talks about fighting. It's a film that talks about courage. It's a film that talks about faith. Also, I believe that this second one is a film that talks about attitude in the face of difficulties. And this attitude matters to everyone. It matters to everyone. I believe it is a film that will surprise people a lot on this subject. The subject of what to do. It's not a formula. It has no formula. However, when you watch it, analyzing how he reacted before the difficulties, before, as I said before, things that seemed impossible to overcome, it's very nice. It's very nice. I believe everyone should watch the movie also because of this.
Muito bacana. Eu acredito que as pessoas devam assistir o filme também por causa disso.
And for yourself, what's next for your career? Do you have any plans?
Atualmente, eu vou voltar para o teatro.
I will be going back to theater for now. There is a friend of mine called Emilio Borchat, whose work I am a fan of. He has an amazing sense of humor. I met him a long time ago, and I'm going back to the theater to perform in one of his plays.
Your dream. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add to the interview? Anything more you want to say?
Acredito que conversamos sobre tudo pouco.
I believe we have talked about everything a bit. I'm very happy to be here in London, a city that I really love. I like the people here. Whenever I come here, I try to watch the London actors because I learn so much from them. I am also honored and very happy to be able to premiere in a film a second time. In this city that is a reference for the world of art, cinema, and culture.
Amazing. Petronio, thank you so much for coming to speak to us today, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you too. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay, everybody, so after the break, we'll hear from our psychologist, Dr. Audrey Tang, about why we should be careful of what we believe in the media, and also the impacts that fake news can have on the individuals it's directed at.
It's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay not okay.
I teach people to see depression as an enemy, not as a friend. I'm always going to be speaking about how you can actually kick depression out of your life, and I give tips in the book of what you can do, how you can start to see depression so that you can get rid of it for good.
Miss Chris, you've done a good job, and you didn't want to keep this help to yourself. You decided to share with everybody. You wrote a book which gives access to anyone who wants to improve.
She was able to get out of depression. Now she will be able with the book to get not only in UK but around the world.
Because it's time to reveal to the world the truth.
If you know anyone who is suffering from depression, then this book is highly recommended.
I did put the dance together because the dance actually shows the fight against depression. So as you know, you've got some punching moves in there, you've got that throwing out anything that's negative. So when you're actually doing the dance, just remember that the reason behind it is like you saying, I don't accept to be put down by any kind of problem, and I'm going to fight back.
We think it's a really, really important thing for them to be aware of being mentally and emotionally well as succeeding with their academic success. So when we heard about this dance, we just thought it was amazing.
We like to encourage students to open up if they are going through any problem and let them know that it's okay to talk, that it's okay if you're going through a problem, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Waving the flags, I think it's like saying to your worries go away and don't come back.
I found the dance, I thought everybody enjoyed it because it could represent our big and small feelings.
Stop, stop, stop! Stop, 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 step back and point and wave! Step and crush! Step and crush! Step and crush!
Do you think this challenge is so important?
I think it's very important because it's a very interactive way for young people to take part and know the stigma around mental health and actually make a change.
It was really energetic and everyone took part in it and really got in there.
I think it's more important because of the actual mental health, not like going on the telly, like the mental health part, because it's quite important. Like if you just ignore it, then a lot of bad things could happen.
I think it's really important in our school we do take it seriously. Our children are really young, but obviously we want to talk to them about feelings and to recognise the different feelings that they have.
Optimus, are you ready? Yeah! Are you sure? Yeah! Let's go! And turn! 2, 1, 2, 3, get up!
Great pleasure to present you with our official Chrissy B Show participative certificate.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everybody. So now it's time to hear from our psychologist, Dr. Audrey Tang, about why we should be careful of what we believe in media and also the impact that fake news can have on individuals.
Hi Chrissy. In today's Psychology Matters segment, I'm going to talk about fake news. Fake news is when articles or statements are put out through social media or even mainstream media to bias our opinions or our thoughts in a certain way. Despite the word fake in the title, it's not always outright lies, and that's because media is held to very high levels of law and defamation. If you are to lie about somebody and that's found out, there are some severe consequences. But unfortunately, the way people are very clever with this is sometimes they just don't tell you all the facts. They will print the things that support their argument. They will emphasize certain areas rather than others and maybe play down other evidence. So it's really up to us, the reader, to be very careful and think when we're reading things and not just seek validation of our own opinions. Fake news, or the approach of saying things to biased thinking, has been around a very long time. It used to be to sensationalize things in order to sell papers. We might remember some of those headlines like "Aliens stole my husband." Now, in a world full of sort of quieter, more mundane news, that could be quite exciting and people might want to read that just as a form of escapism. That wouldn't necessarily be an outright lie, because often the person who was interviewed probably firmly believes that could have happened. There just may be other explanations for it, which aren't being printed. Similarly, advertising, which has had to now become a little bit clearer, advertising might also emphasize positive aspects of a product or a person or a thing, rather than talking about the thing, product, or a person as a whole. It's now also really important when people use statistics that they actually say how many people were tested, because it's very easy to say 80% of people, but if you only tested 10 people, then we're really only talking 8 out of a whole population who might have found a certain thing. So do read the small print when you're looking at adverts, when you're reading infomercials very carefully. The other thing to remember when it comes to fake news is that it can be very, very damaging, especially if people believe it and spread it without question. A psychologist called Aronson said one way of thinking critically about things is to look for the null. Now, what he means by that is look for the information that goes against the opinion that you hold. And if you keep looking for the things that go against you and you're able to form a sensible argument against those things, then at least you know you have a broader picture. The reason he said that is because it's very easy to find things that support and validate our argument, because we tend to dismiss anything that goes against us. We might find very strong reasons as to why we don't believe that particular source. Whereas if we actively look for something that goes against what we believe in and can argue our opinion across, then we at least have a wiser approach to that particular topic. Another thing we can do is to think very carefully about what that person or that piece of media is trying to tell us. Do they have another agenda? Do they have a reason for wanting us to believe the story that they are putting across in that particular way? So always ask yourself when you're reading something, what is this person trying to tell me? And you might even ask yourself when you're thinking about why I'm so likely to believe that particular thing or that particular source, what am I trying to tell myself? Unless we are very careful with our approach to news, and unless we are very careful with our critical thinking skills, we can not only start believing things which are completely untrue, which may affect our behaviours, but we might then be the people who start spreading that particular brand of falsity. Even though we may not mean to be malicious, even though we may firmly believe in what we've read, if we're not careful and we're not wise about forming our opinions, we can start spreading something which is completely biased, completely unfair on somebody else.
Thank you very much to Dr. Audrey Tang and of course to our special guest, Petronio Gontijo. Now, something I would like to highlight in regards to the subject matter that we've spoken about today, fake news and things like that as well. It's very, very important for us to be careful of the things that we take in, especially when someone says something maybe about someone else, because you could really end up misjudging someone. I will never forget an experience I had when I was about to work with a certain individual. And a friend came up to me and said, "Chris, be careful, try and stay away from this person because they're trouble." And this friend, she's someone that I always looked up to and stuff. She wasn't saying it in a bad way. She genuinely thought that this person was going to cause me trouble, was going to be difficult for me, and she was just trying to kind of warn me. However, I still, in my head, it was like, but I don't know this person. I want to get to know them for myself before I make any judgment. And it turns out that me and this person that I ended up working with, and we were very close, we became really good friends. And we had a conversation one day, and she actually said to me, like, sometimes the way she kind of speaks, it was something that she was working on, but she grew up only with brothers. So the way she kind of spoke with people, to people, was very kind of rough and kind of, in a way, some people would find it quite rude. But for me, I didn't kind of take it that way when she used to speak that way. I kind of understood her, and especially when she told me about her background and how she grew up and how she was kind of trying to be more feminine and not so like kind of rough and kind of with people. But imagine growing up just with brothers and always like play fighting and stuff. Of course, that's going to rub off on you. But when she explained that, I understood the kind of background she came from. But also it wasn't an excuse for her to kind of speak to people in that way. However, once you understand the person's past, you kind of think, okay, well, it's understandable. You grew up with brothers, that's the way you talk, that's the way you used to play fight, but you kind of have to not do that anymore with other people. So the interesting thing was, she was kind of being, I would say, judged by people, or people would get offended by her. And it was something that she was aware of and she was working on. Now, had I listened to that friend and the other friend that I had and stayed away from her and thought, I'm just going to avoid trouble, I'm just going to keep my distance, I could have missed out on a really good friendship and also be thinking badly of someone that I shouldn't have been, because she was lovely. She was such a nice person. She's still a nice person. She's not in this country anymore, but she's lovely. I actually went back to the friend that told me to kind of stay away from her, and I explained the situation, and then she felt quite bad and said, "You see, Chris, sometimes we misjudge people when we don't understand them." So the reason I'm speaking about this is that it's something that's it's very easily done. Someone could be having a bad day. Someone could be, have had a rough background. They don't really know, or they don't really have certain social skills. They don't really know how to have a proper conversation with someone, but maybe they're aware of it and they're trying. But if we immediately go and misjudge them and start saying things about them and telling everyone, oh, stay away from that person, they're bad news, that's going to make it even harder for the person. So let's try to kind of give people a break, give people a chance, get to know them. Don't take what other people have said about someone and kind of just paint a whole picture of them just because of what someone has said. It's very, very important. Get to know the person yourself, especially if it's someone that you're going to work with in an office. Sometimes jealousy goes around. People don't want to see a person succeed and they start kind of, little gossip here, little gossip there, saying bad things, dropping these comments, maybe saying things indirectly about them. We have to be really, really careful because unfortunately these things do happen in workplaces, in many places when people kind of don't want to see others progress, or they're jealous maybe because they're progressing faster for whatever reason. So we have to be really, really careful and to make sure that we are not that person that's also spreading those things, because we could end up, as Audrey was saying even in her video, we could end up being the ones spreading lies about someone or things that we think are the truth but are actually lies and cause an issue. Well, everyone, we have reached the end of today's program, but if you have a story that you would like to share, do email us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet or Instagram us at Chrissy B Show, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. If you'd like to know more information about this program, visit our website, chrissybshow.tv. And if you'd like to know more about my mental health journey and the things that I overcame, you can visit my personal website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now.